Good afternoon, you ruddy lovely people. You're all very welcome along to Lilywhite Lane. I hope that you're all having a smashing day and week wherever you are in the world and whatever you are planning to get up to. And you're all very welcome along to your Tottenham versus Man City match debrief. Judging by the reaction from a lot of our fan base this morning, you would have thought that we won the game. I'm starting to think to myself, did I watch a different game to most? Because all I'm hearing is Spurs were excellent last night. We pushed Man City all the way. We were by far the better team. How do we not get something out of that game? Angie's finally getting it right. This team can be special when things click. And I don't understand it. Did these people watch the first 45 minutes of that game? Did they watch Savio and Doku tear our defence apart? Did they see the team selection and the fact our best player over the last few months was dropped? Did they watch the 4 or 5 big chances that Manchester City missed to put the game to bed? Or did they just see the ones that we missed in the second half? Yeah, we got back into that game because we subbed on players that should have started. But they didn't because this manager's a donkey. Oh, he's resting Spence. He's resting Son. He's resting Kulusevski. For what? For the big FA Cup game we've got this weekend. We're not in that competition. Our next game's in 8 days. There is no reason to not play your best and most on-form 11. But for some reason, our manager doesn't do that. You're coming up against two of the most dangerous wingers in the league. And you put Porro and Udogie on the pitch and ask them to invert. It just gives Doku and Savio so much space to tear us apart. They were ripping our defence to shreds. Thankfully, they didn't have their shooting boots on. And apart from the goal, neither did Haaland or Marmoush. But I'm watching that first half. And every single time Man City won it off us in transition, they would play it to the winger. And they would have acres of space. Why are you starting a player like Pedro Porro ahead of someone like Jed Spence? Yes, he's dangerous going forward. But you're coming up against a player like Jeremy Doku, right? Porro's going to invert. He doesn't have the pace and he doesn't stay tight to his man. Jed Spence is a lot more wide than Pedro Porro. He stays tight to his man and he's more solid defensively. Plus, he's been our best player over the last few months. Why are we not starting him? You know? Even ahead of Udogie, you've got to play him ahead of one of those fullbacks. But we didn't. The front three, Tell, Johnson and Odobert. None of them look good enough. Johnson will occasionally pop up in a game with 2 finishes at the back post, but every time I watch him, I find it extremely underwhelming. I don't think he's good enough. Matisse Tell, he gets rewarded with a start in this game after 2 poor performances against Manchester United and Ipswich. Why? Play Dane Scarlett. Keep talking about Project Youth. Play the proper number 9 that we've got up there. You know? Heung-min Son, I think he's on the decline. I'm not a fan of him, but start him in that game. Why on earth are we starting Odobert, who's just come back from an injury? Son's got experience. He's got a good record against Man City, and he's just got 2 assists in your most recent game. I didn't understand the team selection. I thought that led to the pathetic first half that we had, and I thought when we got back in the game in the second half, it was too little too late because of how bad the first half was. And that's down to the players. Of course, they can do better, but the way this manager sets us up is crazy for me. We were getting cut apart in that first half. Second half, I do think we picked up a little bit. We missed some big chances. That Sarr one at the end, the Son one, which was saved. But we didn't put them in the back of the net. Both teams missed some massive chances. I'd say City probably missed more in the first half than we did in the second half. But they were the ones who scored that one chance. They were the ones who put the ball in the back of the net 1 out of 10 times. We didn't. We didn't. No clinical players on the pitch, man. I thought it was a really, really poor performance in the first half. Second half was better. I don't think it was necessarily great, though. Manchester City sat in a little bit deeper. You normally expect Man City to press high up, but because of how poor they've been recently and their recent losses where they've just been outplayed and outclassed by teams like Liverpool and Madrid, they were really scrapping for the point there. Or sorry, for the 3 points. So they sat in a little bit deeper and almost wanted us to come on to them. Could have been 2-0 as well with that Erling Haaland goal. I think I watched a different game to most people yesterday. Were there encouraging signs in the second half? Yeah. But I'm seeing people say, Angie's finally getting us going. This team can be special. If you're watching that game and those are your takeaways, we're on different planets, man. My biggest takeaway from last night is that the team selection was wrong. And if it was right, it could have been a different game. Because when the players who should have started got subbed on, we were the better team and we were in complete control. but it was too little too late from the manager. It was too little too late from a lot of the players on the pitch. Look, the ones who I do want to shout out, Spence came on, looked good again. He's been phenomenal recently. It was a joke that he didn't start. I understand it a bit more, as I said, if there was an FA Cup game this weekend, but we don't play for 8 days. But when he came on, I thought he looked really good. Lucas Bergvall, I thought was one of our better players yesterday. Could have done more with the ball, but very rarely lost it. He was one of the players trying to create a little bit of space, you know. He didn't have any runners either. That was the problem, right? I imagine Ange Postecoglou's idea was counter-attack Manchester City because he watched Liverpool and Real Madrid and what they did. So put all your pacey players up top. Matisse Tell, Brennan Johnson and Oliver. That's what I imagine his idea was, right? Because City are going to press us high. City didn't end up pressing us high. They scored a goal and they not parked the bus or anything, but they sat a little bit deeper than they normally would. They didn't press us as strongly and aggressively as they normally would. And we didn't look like we had a plan B because our players were looking to win it off them in transition and then play it to the attacking players. But because City, as I say, weren't pressing us highly, they weren't leaving all that space. So what do you need then? You need your attacking players to move around more. You don't need them, as I say, once you win it back immediately to make a run. You need it when you've got possession for them to move around. But every single time I saw someone like an Archie Gray, like a Danzo, get the ball in that first half, I'm looking up top. Tell, standing there offside. Brennan Johnson, standing there, you know. Odobert, standing there. None of them are making those runs forward. Why are any of them starting? I don't understand it. Put Kulu on the right. Put Scarlett up top. Put Son on the left. If you want to play one of them up there, maybe Johnson because he scored 2 goals, then fair enough. But Matisse, Tell and Odobert, I don't know why they started in that game. I don't understand the lineup. I don't understand the tactics. He went back to inverting the fullbacks yesterday, which was stupid to allow Doku and Savio to attack that space that they thrive in. I just thought the manager got it completely wrong. Were there encouraging signs? Yes, but overall, I would label it as a complete letdown of a game against the team that were there for the taking. Oh, Man City, the champions. We gave it a good go. Yeah, they are. But so many teams have gotten results against us, including us to 4-0, or against them, including us to 4-0 at the Etihad. They're not the same team they have been over the last few years. And in the first half, we made them look like that team. Thankfully, they weren't clinical because they're not that team right now. But yeah, I thought we were poor. I thought we were poor in that first half. Second half, some of the football was better, controlled the game better once we made the subs. But how many times do I have to say? Those players start, maybe we get a result, maybe we get a win, you know, even a point. But frustrating. As I say, Spence, Bergvall, I thought pretty good. Danzo is looking good signing, to be fair. Tell, I need to see a lot more, if I'm honest. Players such as Ben Tanker, I need to see more. I do think he's one of our better midfielders, hence why I said the other day with the contract extension news that I'd be open to having his contracts extended. But I see a lot of hype around Sarr. I was quite behind that last season. This season, I'm not really seeing it with Pape Matar Sarr. Last season, he was pretty consistently 7 or 8 out of 10. Now he's very inconsistent. Even when he has a good game, he doesn't really do anything special. He's not that solid player that he was in most games last season. If you're not a flair player and you're a consistent, solid player, you need to be consistent and solid, but he's not. He'll occasionally put in a solid sort of like 90-minute performance where he looks good, he makes a couple of interceptions, holds up the ball well, but then the next game he'll look poor, he'll be played through. And yesterday, that chance at the end, I don't care if you're a midfielder, a defender, or if you're a fan, you've got to be putting that in the back of the onion bag, man. It's a lovely flick on from Son, and he's got to score it. He's got to score it. Look, AZ Alkmaar next Thursday, all our eggs in that basket for me. That's the one I really care about. The Europa League is all we've got this season. Premier League-wise, it's been a shambles of a season. I don't know why people believe that beating Manchester United or Ipswich meant that we turned a corner. They were good wins. I was happy about them because I'm a Spurs fan, but still so much work that needs to be done at this football club. And as I've said the last few months, I don't think Ange Postecoglou is the man to do that. I don't think he's going to rebuild this club. I think he's just going to make things worse as long as he's here. I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he goes on to win the Europa League and then next season wins the Champions League and has a great Prem campaign, but I can't see it. I can't see success under this manager. Nevertheless, big game against Alkmaar. That's our next one. Rest this weekend. Hopefully we've got some players, more players back for that one. I'm not having the whole players thing because you weren't talking about the players we were missing when we won our last 2 games. Now when we lose, you want to talk about the players. Plus Bournemouth have had huge injury problems this season, you know. Manchester City have had a huge injury problems and they've coped far better than us. It's how you manage your squad, and this guy hasn't done it well. Couple of positives last night. The play was a little bit better. Couple of good performances, but first half really poor. Too little, too late with the substitutions. Team selection wrong. Manager mainly to blame for yesterday. Yet again, guys, I'm going to make like a banana and split. Have a smashing day and week. And as always, Enoch and Lee.